Welcome to today's episode and the first episode of the virtual book tour on the Self Seed. So it's kind of a short series, 5 episodes, and we are going to feature 5 authors. And today we are kicking off with Diana Powell. Diana Powell. And her book is Afro in the Boardroom. And today we're just going to see, we are going to understand how can we navigate leadership, resilience, and identity, especially as a Black woman in business. So if you're new to the podcast, remember that the Selves podcast is available on all major platforms and you can subscribe. Always subscribe. Just subscribe to our podcast. And in this powerful episode, I think that Diana Powell, who is a serial entrepreneur and an author of the Afro in the Boardroom. She will share how Black women can rise through the corporate and entrepreneurial ranks with courage, clarity, and impact. From the UK to the UAE, Diana's stories, I think, is one of great purpose and advocacy. And I believe that this conversation blends leadership wisdom with lived experience and challenges to bring us our full unapologetic selves to the spaces we lead in. So if you're new to the podcast, subscribe, and I hope you will enjoy this virtual book tour 2025 brought to you by Activate Corp in partnership as well with the Podcast. So let's go. Nice to meet you here again, and because today is the first episode of the virtual book tour, so I guess you'll be the one who gets the pleasure to introduce yourself, because maybe in the next episodes I might just be introducing the guests and then we just jump into the questions and all that.
So thank you very much for having me here today. And my name is Diana Powell, and I am a holistic business coach, entrepreneur, corporate trainer for diversity and inclusion. I currently reside in the UAE. You can tell by my accent that I'm actually from London, but my parents are from Jamaica, and I can even go even further back. My ancestry is from West Africa, Ghana.
Oh, nice, Ghana. Oh, you have many caps on you. You have entrepreneur, life coach, and all author and everything. And today we are.
I could even go even further than that, Emmanuel. I can go even further, but my life has very much moving parts.
I like it. You know, when I was thinking about the content of the episode, and I was thinking, okay, this person's journey is so rich, and how do I begin to ask the questions? What questions should I ask so that at least the audience of the Self Seed podcast can grab many things from your life, and you just don't get to run off like that and leave us without any gold nuggets, I could say. So
I'll try my best.
All right. So, as I was preparing, I thought about the first aspect that I should ask this person is, since your journey spans a lot of countries, right? And a lot of industries, and you have been to different boardrooms. You have also resided in the UAE, in the UK, and probably tested in many different countries. And I'm thinking, when you reflect on your career so far, what moments do you actually see as those time-changing or those changing moments, the pivotal moments that shaped your leadership identity?
Well, that's a bit of a challenging one for me, because my career has spanned now, it's about 20 years now.
Oh, 20 years, that's a lot.
So there are different, what I will say, there are different milestones, I would say, in my life. They're all as important, I would say, because sometimes people say, I regret situations in my life. But when I'm at this stage in my life and I reflect back, they are all important to me.
Correct.
What I would say, I think this stage in my life, I know it's 20 odd years down the road.
Yeah.
But we are always evolving, and
Correct.
We are always learning. And the reason why I say that, because my mother, she transitioned less than a year ago. Next week, it would actually be her anniversary in terms of her transition. And I saw her in a very, last hours. It made me think and appreciate life even more so.
Yeah.
And the blessings have that I've encountered over the years of my career.
Yeah.
I've met many people that have shaped me in terms of my entrepreneurial journey, whether there be mentors or people in fleeting moments in my life and have left an impression on me. And I see the world very differently now. And when I have clients, whether I'm coaching or I'm delivering talks, I bring that side of me out. I'm very much a listener now.
Yeah.
When you have experienced the world the way I have, meaning that I've lived in the UK, I've lived also and worked in Saudi Arabia, I've lived in the UAE for now going on 6 years now. I've traveled throughout the US, I've traveled throughout the Caribbean. I think you're humbled by the experience and it shapes you in the boardroom space because now you understand people better, culture, dynamics. You are more, what's the word? You're more open to understanding of people and their natures.
Right.
And I talk about that a lot in my book.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to say to you again, I think where I'm at, it's a beautiful time for me. And I feel that I'm comfortable in my space.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable in my identity. I show up as me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No filters.
Interesting.
No filters.
Interesting. I like the aspect that you, as you stated, if someone has tasted life or experienced, gone to places as you have, you get to meet people, you get to meet circumstances that change your perspectives about how you used to go about things, how you see people, how you interact with people. And I think that's a well-lived journey. You still have a long way to go, but that's 20 years are great.
Of course.
And
I mean, it's about understanding people, isn't it?
Yeah. So you highlighted as well as to these things are the ones that contributed to have shaped your narrative in the boardroom. And I'm curious that, and I actually, not to take away the episode from you and give you more time to talk about the book, what actually just inspired the Afro in the boardroom, the whole book idea? Because life experiences is one thing, and the transitions of across your leadership career and all that, but what actually just inspired this book that you began to write it, and what conversations were you actually hoping to spark through this book?
Afro in the boardroom has been in the making for many years, actually.
Yeah. How many years? And many years. Is it like 50?
I'm talking about 10 years. 10 years plus. 10 years plus. The thing is, it was never my intention to write a book. That was never the intention.
Mm-hmm.
How I got onto the road in terms of my path.
Yeah.
I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that has come from my mother, my father, and my grandparents. And I talk about this in my book, Afro in the Boardroom.
Yeah.
But it was never seen as that. It was just seen as I enjoy creating and making opportunities. I didn't see it as what we are talking about now. Right. That was never the intention. I was always creating. I was always looking at ways. And it wasn't always about just making money. I just enjoy, whether it's food, whether it's hair, whether it's events, I just enjoyed it. It was things that I enjoyed that I managed to turn into a money-making venture. That was all it is. It wasn't a business model. It wasn't none of that.
Yeah, I like it.
I actually wanted to be a chef.
Yeah. Oh, chef.
That was my passion. My bigger brother, he was a chef in the large Harrods store in London. And I never forget when I was about 15 years old, at school, you have your first careers talk. And my careers teacher said to me, Diana, what would you want to do when you leave school? And I said, I want to be a chef like my brother. And she turned around and said to me, I think you need to think about that. And I said, why do I need to think about that? That's what I want to do. Why don't you do admin? And I'm not taking away from those who are in administration now, but school is supposed to be inspiring. It's supposed to enlighten you or ignite that inner being of you to do those things that you really desire and would want to thrive within.
Correct.
I was very upset. She was just kept writing, and I looked at the ground and I said, I ain't gonna do that. So I applied to college anyway after school for the catering course. But what was quite interesting, that's why sometimes your purpose and your destiny, sometimes it can go another way, and that's another way you can get on your path. Right. So it was a thing that I'll never forget. That autumn when the grades were supposed to come out, I didn't get the grades so in time to go into college. So the only thing I could do was get onto a business course. That's the only thing I could do. And so it was never my intention to go into business or learn about business. In a way, I kind of, sometimes the universe aligns itself. But something that was innate, I saw an opportunity and I said, well, I have to get into something. My mom and dad said, I can't be on the street. I have to go into college. So that's what I did.
Correct.
And that was the opening for me along my journey. And it's quite interesting because I've never, what's the word I'm looking for? I always step up to challenges.
Yeah.
Never tell me I cannot do something.
You cannot do something.
Never tell me that, because I always do the opposite. And I think that was always something innate with me in terms of what I wanted to do. So moving forward, I just want to kind of give you a bit of a backdrop in terms of the book was never something I intended to do. It was through my going to college. I have many encounters. I'm rolling forward now about 10 years now. Yeah. And there are many opportunities for me now to meet men and women that open doors for me. So I actually eventually went into consulting. I'm kind of moving forward quite quickly now. I'm only doing this to make a point. So my colleague that I was working very, very closely with, he said to me, you do so much presentations and consultations, and why don't you kind of pack it into a book? I was like, I've never really thought about a book. Up until that point, I was a writer, but I was a writer of business plans, strategic plans, fundraising proposals. I enjoyed writing, but not writing a book in the sense of a manual. And so I kind of dismissed it for a bit. And it kept going on. And I actually thought about it because there were people around me that were starting to write. It was at a time that I never really had a circle of people around me that were authors. There were more business writers, strategic planning and so forth, not writers. Yeah. So he was saying to me, why don't you write? You're very much about your people, because a lot of my clients were from the African Caribbean community. It was at a time where there was a lot of austerity taking place. There's a lot of conversations about inequality that was there for Black men and women, micro businesses, finding it difficult to access finance and resources and facilities, etc. So there was a lot of European money, European funding that was available to support those communities. And I was a consultant in many of those. So the other element of that is my consciousness. I used to always have my hair actually in a big afro. That was my signature look. And that kind of anchored me in who I was in terms of my identity. And I talk about that and how that evolved in my book. So he was saying, why don't you do something around Afro in the workplace? Because what do you mean Afro in the workplace? And so he was kind of making joke at me. But we was talking and we was just going back and forth, and then it manifested into Afro in the Boardroom.
Afro in the Boardroom. Interesting.
However, I'm very much grounded in the idea of the community spirit. I was very much about developing grassroots organizations. I bounced in and out of the corporate spaces, but I felt quite comfortable working with those types of communities. So Boardroom didn't quite encapsulate me at that point. So that's why I keep saying I put the book down, I pick it up and I put it down. Now, I picked it up again about 5 years ago. And I shared the idea with a friend that I really want to think about writing a book about business, about it wasn't about my journey per se, but it was just a book about business, a manual to support entrepreneurs. They turned around and said to me, but you're not an author. I mentioned this also. Sometimes you need to move in silence. Sometimes you utter your dreams to people who are there
to shout it. Yeah.
I actually put the book down for 5 years. I actually picked the book up when my mother passed away. It was something in me that said I needed to think about legacy.
Yeah.
I needed to think about if I passed away, what would people remember of me?
Interesting.
So then I reflected over Afro in the Boardroom again. So Afro in the Boardroom, in terms of its name, has evolved over time to where it is now. So when I talk about Afro in the Boardroom now, Afro is a metaphor. Afro in the Boardroom now has become a metaphor.
Yeah.
When I talk about the metaphor, Afro is my identity, my heritage, and my culture that I'm anchored in. It's much more than just hair. It's how I speak, how I engage with people, how I interact with people.
Correct.
My space, my place, the boardroom is a place where I interact with individuals. People turn up, I turn up, decisions are made, challenges are there, successes are there. So it's much more than just a working environment. The boardroom is a place of life. The different places and spaces you interact within. An entrepreneur, a businessman, a businesswoman, you're not just that person. We talk about intersectionality. I am a woman, I am female, I'm melanated, I am Black. I navigate these places, these spaces, I interact with people. So Afro in a Boardroom now encapsulates now my life. So now when I talk about my journey, and I mentioned initially about my childhood encounters, that is for me now another place and space. Dynamics is happening.
Correct.
When I'm in university, in college, a place and space, another boardroom, dynamics is taking place.
Yeah.
So that now widens out the narrative for me. And I'm speaking to my audience, I'm speaking to my readers that yes, you are an entrepreneur, but you are also this person. You are also that person. And that person interacts in these places and spaces and has an impact on how you make business decisions, how you negotiate, how you interact with your managers, your colleagues, because a lot of our personalities are anchored in previous experiences that we have. So Afro in the Boardroom is about the navigation of me as a businesswoman, but it's also a navigation of life.
Right. I love that you have taken your whole experience in the corporate world, and not just that, but the experience that you have when you're in different environments, redefining the concept of the boardroom, especially for an entrepreneur like the listener of the podcast, and telling them, okay, if you're in this environment, then these things might happen. These are the stories this is the way that you should tell your story to these people. It's the way that you should interact with these people. And I like the point. I also remember the point where you said you just shared it with someone and they kind of shattered it for 5 years, and you didn't have to continue writing, right? And many of the listeners actually on this podcast, they are people who navigate professional environments where they're just one of a few, right? Or the only one probably, especially as we talk about Afro, our identity, our culture and all that. And so I am thinking, what practical advice would you give to these kind of people navigating the professional environment as one of a kind or something like that, about showing up without, always shrinking back and moving back and saying, and where even if you're underestimated, you still show up. Instead of showing insecurity, you show power and impact.
I talk about transformation. I talk about intentionality.
Right.
I talk about authenticity.
Correct.
Those are the 3 pillars when I'm reflecting, are constantly evolving throughout Afro in the Boardroom. So when you speak about turning up in these places and spaces, You have to kind of go back a little bit. Because you are the sum total of all your actions and all your interactions. This is where you stand. You represent those years up until that point where you are now.
Right.
And that's why I talk about your interactions in those places and spaces. And it's not necessarily as you as an entrepreneur. Sometimes it can go as way back as childhood. So when I talk about how you show up and how you shrink, it's now layers upon layers of that personality that you have. Why is it that you feel that there is a need to shrink? What is taking place in this particular boardroom place or space that you now have to shrink back? That is something that's happening within you. One thing we always say is you can control you, but you cannot control the people that is around you.
Powerful.
So what is it that is taking place around you that you feel that you cannot deal with? So, when I talk about Afro in the boardroom and I start to peel away, and I had to really look at myself and understand some of the dynamics that was taking place. Because sometimes when you're in it, you're so stressed and so traumatized, you don't understand what you're looking at.
Correct.
You don't understand what is actually happening around you. And because you don't understand it, you don't know how to deal with it.
Correct.
So some people will flare up. There's some people that will just flare up but some people will shrink, withdraw themselves. It could even go back to childhood when you had encounters and maybe mother or father or somebody was shouting at you, and you thought you never had a voice, and the only thing you could do is be silent.
Move back.
Those type of personality traits will play itself out and also in adulthood if you haven't addressed it. So when I talk about those type of encounters, I've had mentors. I've had to revisit me and understand what is it about me that can't deal with these situations. Sometimes we just have to take a honest reflection on ourselves. And I'm not taking it away, don't get me wrong, because you have managers that are narcissistic. Yes, you have managers that are bullies. You have those individuals that are just traumatizing their workforce. But why is it that some people withdraw, and why is it that some people stand up for themselves?
Interesting.
That's why I started to study myself. I worked with my own clients and have a clearer understanding as to what is taking place, and a lot of it is outside of that space, and they just don't know how to navigate. They don't understand the culture. They sometimes are in a space where they have no choice but to stay because of financial reasons. They could be a point in their life that they feel that they could not, they can't go anywhere else, and so they feel that they have to just sit here for years under these traumatic situations. So that's it. I'm of the thinking of this. If you're in a place and a space and it's causing you so much trauma,
then you. Interesting. If you're in a place that is close,
I know it was like, but it's not as easy as that. But would you prefer to be in a situation, because trauma, I mean, I'm not a doctor of this particular profession, but I'm talking about my own experiences.
Right.
A traumatic experience, it can be so traumatic that it takes toll on your physical health and well-being.
Correct.
Your alarm will go off, and you feel your heart palpitation, you're sweating, because you have to go into this space and deal with these people every single day.
Yes.
It's just tearing you apart.
Correct.
This is why, as I said before, my life changed at this point when my mother died. And I would say when you're at that point in your life And when as I said, I saw my mother take her last breath, I said to myself, I was looking at her, and I said, Mum, if you was to do things again, or you had an opportunity to live another day, what would you do? There's a lot of things you would change. So as I said, Afro in the Boardroom is not necessarily for everybody, because some people feel that I have no choice. We all have choices. Correct. It's what we choose to do from what we choose not to do.
Correct.
But with the work that I do as a business coach, is I don't just look at the person. I look at the physical well-being, their mental states. I have those kind of conversations with them.
Correct.
And help them to, as a coach, you're not hand-holding, but you're encouraging people to reflect. Sometimes in that reflection, you don't like what you see. Some people are in these encounters and not even their family know that they're going through this.
So sometimes the option is to remove yourself out of it is a toxic environment. If it is a traumatic environment, then you just have to exit and put yourself in a place that is healthier for you. That's what I'm getting, correct?
Yes.
Powerful. So because our podcast, we would love to have more insights, but also the podcast kind of, has to be short for the audience to I love that an audience is able to digest all of this. And I'm thinking, if all of this is like the gold nuggets from your book, so then how do the people get this book and get to learn all of this, at least firsthand? Is it firsthand? Is it secondhand? Yeah, to learn all of this. It's kind of a spot for you to as well market yourself and all this.
Well, the thing is, there is my book. It's actually on pre-order. It's going to be launched in Black History Month in the UK. Yeah. However, I'm actually running a number of webinars, having these types of conversations, roundtable discussions about different elements of my book.
Right.
I talk about cultural intelligence. I talk about narcissistic managers.
Right.
And I explore strategies as well in those type of conversations. And I invite people to share, because I'm not saying in Afro in the Boardroom we have everything, because Afro in the Boardroom, as I said, is constantly evolving, because people who've come into my spaces and have shared some of their stories, and it's like, what, I can really relate to that. I didn't realize that person had narcissistic behaviors. Right. I didn't realize that's what it was. Now I can identify what it is. Now I know what to do.
Right.
I didn't know what cultural intelligence was. I didn't know I had to think about it in that way.
Right.
So it is very much about enlightening the reader to terminologies that is used in and around the space, understanding dynamics, personality traits, see it. Once you see it, you understand it, you can better know how to navigate around it. Right. So it's not always about leaving at times, but it's more so also understanding what you're seeing, better preparing and arming yourself to navigate around it.
Powerful. Thank you very much. First, I wanted to make sure, do I pronounce the name well? Because where I come from, we could say just Diana. And when you listen to English speakers, again, you hear Diana. So is it, which one is it? Diana? Diana?
Diana.
Diana. Thank you very much.
Some people call me Diana, and some people call me, so it doesn't matter, as long as it's Diana.
All right. Nice. Thank you very much, Diana. And it was nice listening to all of this conversation. And to just pick your mind last time, since I always like to know the speaker's perspective, the last thing I would like to ask, did faith or the sense of purpose influence your work anyhow? This is my last short question that I would love to know.
That's Emmanuel. That's not a short question.
Because sometimes I think on the podcast I mostly like to correlate things, especially with faith, since I'm a believer, and so sometimes I want to even the audience to be able to relate and understand. Even if in the corporate world, sometimes there's also you can, perseverance comes with all this. And so I was just curious, has faith played any role?
Faith for me, I will tend to speak more about my spiritual identity.
Correct.
Is my anchor. It has helped me to understand self, because I mentioned to you before that I speak about purpose and universal alignment.
Correct.
Because some things you just don't understand, but when you are in your purpose, it's like doors just open up for you, the opportunities just flow, the energies are just flowing around you, and it in a way it's effortless. And in that moment or moments, it's about being humble, it's about being great, it's about honoring that spiritual self, it's honoring the higher being. It's very much not just about me.
Nice. See,
when I sit in that reality, I see the world very differently, and how I interact with people.
Right.
And so when I see, I'm very much in tune with how my energy is around people. And also sometimes you're around people and you think, you know what, I hear what you're saying, but your energy is off. I don't know what it is.
I hear you.
I don't know what it is.
But...
And I listen to that a lot as I'm getting older. And a lot of the time it's for real. Every morning I get up, I say my prayers. I give thanks for being able to see another day and showing up to be the best person that I can be, because tomorrow is promised to nobody. So it's always about being the best person you can today.
Correct. Powerful. Faith. And it's the anchor. It's what gives you, sometimes the boost, the fuel to keep on going.
Yes.
Because you have a hope, a higher purpose. Thank you very
correct.
much, Diana. Thank you very much for all the golden nuggets. Thank you for the moment that you have set aside to share insights with us on the Self-Seed podcast. And I was about to forget. How about people connecting with you? You could also share that before I close the podcast, because when when I finish talking, it's like I usually just end the podcast.
No, if you want to find out more about Afro in the Boardroom, my podcasts, my webinars, and anything I'm doing, to be honest, go to www.dspowell.com and you'll find out so much about me. My LinkedIn is DS Powell. You'll find me on my LinkedIn channel, on Instagram, Facebook. And I'm building a community as well of people who are on that same journey as me, because I don't have it all. I don't have all the answers. Yeah. So I'm still evolving myself. So I'm saying, come along with me and evolve with me. So you can find out much more about what I'm up to on my website.
Thank you very much. That's www.dspowell.com, and LinkedIn and Facebook, DS Powell as well, right? Thank you very much. And I actually enjoyed listening to you and talking about Afro in the Boardroom. And I love the part that you say that drive. It's always about that drive that you just feel like, I would just want to create. It's not necessarily I wanted to write a book, but the essence of I want to create. And so
yes,
I think we are alike in that area. And so thank you for sparing a moment to share with us today. Until next time, to the listener, I hope you have grabbed a thing or two and you can connect with Diana. You see, I got it right now. I got the way you like it. Diana on social medias and on her website. Thank you very much, Diana, once again.
Thank you very much.